no secret that technology has propelled the need for agility, and the digital skills gap is pretty simple to understand. Technology is developing at a faster rate than workforces can keep up with. As a result, the pool of skilled workers, those who are able to understand and work with new technologies, is smaller than the demand for it. As such, future-proofing workforces is becoming a priority for many as digitization continues to surge. However, it is not always that easy. There simply aren't enough new potential employees to fall back on for the future. So in the first Fireside Chat today, our panelists will talk about this digital skill gap and how to bridge it by improving your digital technology skills. So our first panelist for today's session is Ms. Kirti Seth, CEO, IT-ITES Sector Skill Council, NASSCOM, a business leader with over 30 years of rich experience in entrepreneurship, management, and driving change. Kirti is currently with NASSCOM as the CEO for the IT-ITES Sector Skills Council, and prior to this, she was heading the prestigious Future Skills Prime Project, a digital skilling initiative that is in partnership between the Government of India and NASSCOM. Welcome, ma'am, onto the dais. Our second panelist is Mr. Yogesh Andlay, founder, Nucleus Software and board member, SOIL, which stands for School of Inspired Leadership. Yogesh is an entrepreneur and is one of the promoters of Nucleus Software. He was part of the founding team of several leading well-known companies in IT consultancy and education field, graduated from IIT Delhi in 1979, was president of IIT Delhi Alumni Association during the year 2006 and 7, has been an active participant in Pan-IIT alumni activities, was chair exhibition community for the Conclave 2010 for Pan-IIT. We welcome you, Yogesh sir, onto the dais, and the Fireside Chat will be moderated by none other than Pradeep Gupta, Chairman, Cyber Media Group. Over to you, PG.
So welcome Kirti, welcome Yogesh. Very interesting topic we have. And the interesting thing is that the debate that just happened prior to us moving onto the stage provided great trigger points for that. So Kirti, let me start with you. Ladies first, your opening remarks on this particular issue.
Gosh, after the interactive session that has just happened, it's like, what should these opening remarks be? Because so much of all that's hot and happening right now has been brought up. You know, what's the role of higher education? What's the role of industry? What's the role of government? So I guess as an opening remark, I would only say that the one big realization that I should say I have had ever since I took up this role is that if all three don't work together, nothing is going to move forward. The time has gone for lobbing the grenade onto someone else's side of the court and saying, you didn't do this or you didn't do this. I think today we have the entire framework in place to enable it. Everyone can do this. There is no excuse for not doing it. The policy framework is in place. The resources are available. Institutions have got a wake-up call with the pandemic as to what to do with technology. Industry is reeling under the talent gap. So it's a perfect storm. Everybody is now ready to take the plunge and stop making excuses of how not to get it done, but to think about what to do from here on.
Great. So it's a perfect storm. Yogesh, your opening words on this.
Thank you, Pradeep. I think Kirti have summarized it very well, and I fully agree with you that it is now time to take control of the situation, reflect on what we can do rather than expecting what others will do. So the government has its own framework, has come out with a new education policy framework, very well conceptualized. What we had thought 10 years ago, 15 years ago when we were setting up SOIL is the kind of leadership education be. A lot of these things we see already incorporated in the policy. The question is, the next stage comes in is when these go in for implementation. There's a huge amount of what we say mindset preparation needs to be done by every actor. At every stage, institutions, students, parents, the entire mindset, there's a need to realign this mindset to a different need, different requirement, different situation that exists as of today. I think we'll keep exploring these as we go ahead.
Absolutely. So, Kirti, NASSCOM is the organization which had actually stirred up this storm, you know. You had let the cat out amongst the pigeons in the early 2000s when that survey came out that only 30% of the people which are trained by educational institutions are actually employable. Has there been more surveys after that? What is the latest picture on that? Is it still 30% or is it now a different scenario?
So we keep doing these studies. The last one came out in 2021. So while the numbers have not changed very much, I would say, in terms of the ratio of students who are directly employable, but what has also happened in parallel is the transformation of what is required. So if we say that what was the profile of people, of students getting hired, say maybe 5, 6, as recent as maybe 5, 6 years ago, to what is required today, it has changed quite dramatically. Because if the whole impact of the digital transformation means that the skills that companies are looking for have changed from the hard skills to the more, should I say, evolvable skills. So if we say learning agility, I would say that is the one word that keeps popping up in every conversation when you talk to industry. And what is learning agility? I mean, there's a theoretical definition of learning agility, but essentially learning agility means that do you have enough of a preparation in your field of study to say that now I can learn on top of it and I can keep learning on top of it, which essentially means is do you have your, and I'm going to use a colloquial term here, do you have your funda sorted out? And if I talk about funda, that is the role of the higher education institution. If you're not teaching students their fundamentals, there is no way that they can build upon that. Today the government or the new education policy has opened up 40% that you can learn. Dr. Shukla talked about that. Now this is a huge challenge because the learner has to go and pick up that 40% and learn on their own, because the MOOC means there's no teacher that is teaching you. So how will you learn on your own if your fundas are not straight? So when we say what's the problem today and why is the employability quotient, employability ratio still low, it is because fundamentals are still not being taught. If you're learning mechanical engineering, do you have solid fundas of thermodynamics?
You know, but very often the education sector says that, you know, when we start working on fundas, when companies come to us, they say, oh, we want a person to be ready with such and such skill, and their focus is more in terms of that, you know, a person should be, it's not just that you should be understanding what programming is all about, but you should be knowing that specific programming language which is current these days. So, Yogesh, you know, what has Soil, for example, been doing in terms of preparing people for the industry, you know, when they actually get deployed?
Thank you, Pradeep. That's, you see, when we started Soil, the Soil was started with the help of about 34 consortium companies. We sat down with them, talked to them to understand what is it that they need, what is it that they're getting a steady stream. They're getting stream of management students, leadership students from management institutions like IIMs and every place. What is it that they are missing out on? What do they want to take? And based on that, we figured out that what the industry leaders tell us is that a person, when he comes to us, he should not only be skill ready, but he should also be ready, as she said, with learning agility, with empathy, with ethical behavior, with a behavior which empowers or engages the teams. Now these are the skills which we classified into a different segment, three different segments we classified. And I'm just giving an example, that the person should be able to should have the right skill content, there are knowledge of different disciplines like language, or in case of engineer, in case of manager, the finance and the marketing and things of that kind. But beyond that, he should be action oriented, and he should be very well aware of who he is. Happy. If he has to be a happy person, he knows what is my purpose in life. And therefore in soil we created a curriculum where we blended all the three things: character, competence and enthusiasm. And that's what we are so happy to see happening in the new education policy. A lot of those things, those elements have come in here. This 40% flexibility that you just referred to provides a space for a student to explore not just skills but a lot of other, we can call it in within quotes, life skills also, which are useful for him in his or her career. You see, when we talk about employability, it's not just that a person knows how to program in that language, but person also understand the whole system in which the system is going to be implemented, how many people he's going to be working with. It's not just a coding. It's before coding, how do you understand the requirements, how do you code them, how do you test them, how do you deliver them, how you implement and support. When the student understands this entire cycle, he is employment ready. Though as employer we are not able to state it in so many words, but that's what we expect him to.
Yeah, so the focus shifting from just direct learning to learning ability, that is something which is more important.
And I'll just add to that. So take a simple example. If a student has done a project, that is a great thing because that shows application of whatever you have learned. But how many students are able to say, this is the project I've done, why did I take the solution that I took? I mean, why have I adopted this solution, and then present that solution? So to what Yogesh said, it's not just doing it, but also being able to say why and how and describe it. Suddenly that encompasses a lot of understanding, and that demonstrates to the employer that this is how I'm thinking. The employer today, when we say learning agility, it's thinking, right? It's how are you thinking? How are you problem solving? What is your thought process?
Absolutely.
And it's as simple, actually as simple as that. In concept, difficult to do.
Yeah, so let's come to the do part. And you said that, instead of A saying that B needs to do this and B saying C needs to do this and C is saying A and B need to do this, etc., etc. We all need to sort of, sit down together and work together. What do you think should be the next steps to achieve that?
So I'll talk from personal experience because actually I think everyone is aware of this problem that we all need to sit together. As a Sector Skills Council, our job is really to facilitate this interaction between industry and academia. I think we call it out as one of our core missions. The Future Skills Prime platform that was referred to in my introduction is really a government-funded initiative to create a national digital skilling platform, which has been created in collaboration with the Ministry of IT and NASSCOM, NASSCOM standing for IT industry. And with the digital transformation that is going on, a resource like this is actually a great starting point, which brings together multiple things. Now, I'll just illustrate how. So the Government of India at the central level has funded this platform. We as NASSCOM are operationalizing this platform with programs that industry thinks are important from an employability and from a skill development perspective. All the programs on the platform are aligned to the National Skills Qualification Framework. So this is the Ministry of Skills and NCVT, our skills regulator. So when you're aligned to the Skills Qualification Framework, now it aligns to the National Credit Framework. So National Credit Framework is implementation of the National Education Policy 2020. So when you have programs that you know that this program is equal to X number of credits, including it in the curriculum becomes easy because you know that you need to have your 40 credits for the year. This course is equal to 3, this course is equal to 6, this course is equal to 7. Now the kids can take up their electives which are part of the curriculum. So this framework has come together with the collaboration of Ministry of IT, Ministry of Skills, industry. Academia becomes users of this platform to say, okay, if we use these courses or if we do these courses, which are the industries that are now interested in these skills? So that's what our job becomes, to say, if you are, to do both ways, to say, if you are working on these skills, these are the industries which could be interested, and let's bring them to you. We can bring industry to mentoring sessions to colleges. We do learning cohorts to say that you pick up this course and then there will be industry mentors to help you once a week in those programs. So now the regulation, industry, the users, the government have all come together. Now, are you going to pick it up? That is in the hands of the institution to say, do I want to use this resource? Somebody mentioned Coursera, fantastic resource. We are talking to Coursera because this is an aggregator platform. I mean, this is, you bring all the learning players into one. This is not a commercial enterprise. So we are talking to Coursera, who's saying that we want to put our programs on. So we're saying, yes, sure, but align them to the skills qualification framework. So this confusion for the learner, which course should I study? How will it help me? How will it help towards my degree? That kind of goes away.
Okay, so, let me ask for a few comments from the audience on this particular subject. What is the reaction to what Kirti just now said from the people from the education institute?
Yeah, I was given the challenge of teaching neuroscience. So I picked up a Coursera from Copenhagen University, which explains in very simple terms what I can communicate to postgraduate students who are coming from non-bio background. So that's where I found Coursera extremely helpful. That's the experience I wanted to share with you.
Okay, anyone else has any comment? Or, yeah, the gentleman there.
I just wanted to underscore what the gentleman said, that this is how technology helps you bridge this gap very quickly. Because to change curriculum so fast is hard, but the resources available, how you leverage it becomes important. It's also a big challenge to faculty. Now with all these resources available at the students' fingertips, how do you actually conduct the class?
Right.
And secondly, communicate to people with certain kind of backgrounds, which may not be technologically oriented.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, my name is Tarun. I'm a founder of an institute and I teach as well. So, organization like NASCOM can do wonders in bridging this gap, which is not happening. So I would like to see more from NASCOM, because you have a huge network of people. So wherever I go and attend these events.
Can you be more specific?
One is industry.
Talked about that. There is this interaction that they do with the industry. They do the interaction with educational institutions. So where is the thing where the gaps are there, which can be fulfilled? Any suggestions for that?
Industry and academia gap is the huge gap actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
So NASCOM can play a role in terms of bridging.
The kind of network they have.
There's a gentleman there also who wanted to say something.
Hello, sir. So,
Yeah.
sir, my name is Nipun Tyagi and I represent Bennett University, Greater Noida. So, sir, actually we are in the consultation with the TCS also right now to fulfill the gap between the academics and the industry. But the point is that from the point of view of the stakeholders of the university, they only understand the admissions and the placements. And industry ultimately is looking for the profit. So, in the first round of the discussion with TCS and the other stakeholders, so it is very difficult to come on a agreed point which is mutually beneficial for the industry as well as for the university also. So
Okay. So,
I think
tough sort of a question, Yogesh, but can you sort of, that the objectives of the institutes are different, the objectives of the employers are different, and so how do you marry different objectives?
So this is a beautiful, you have brought out an excellent point that we apparently have different expectations. But what is underlying expectation? Underlying expectation is that we should be able to teach the students, build the students, and build him in a way that he is able to live his life well. That's right. Now, if I look at my own interest, that my interest is just to get 5 students and place them well, and so that I can get next 5 students, and the industry is looking at it, that what do I get from here? I think we'll always remain, the purposes are very, very different. Purposes are not aligned. The purpose of education. You see, I'll reflect a little step, take a step back. From the management education perspective, the mother of all management educations is the Harvard Business School, perhaps the oldest business school. Do you know when it was started, what was the purpose of the Harvard Business School? The purpose was to build managers who can generate profit with, primarily the profit was the key motive, that managers should be able to generate profit. Today when you look at Harvard, the same Harvard, they instituted a study as to what will be the future of management education look like. And they said that the profit is not just what is sufficient to describe what the future of management education should be. It has to be a holistic education. It has to be an education where the student is sensitive about nature, student is sensitive about sustainability, student is sensitive about diversity, and so many other things. So Professor Datar, who's the current Dean of Harvard, he came out with a beautiful study. It was published as a book. And the essence was that the student should be able to know, do, and be. His presence, his ability to act, and his knowledge. All three needs to be present in this leadership education, and therefore the curriculum started getting refined. What I see happening in the country now is a beautiful thing. We started engineering colleges. Around 2000 we had plethora of engineering colleges. And who were they being controlled by? One university in every state, which was State Technology University. The pace at which the university could change was limited because it had to deal with the entire state. Today, you see, you have Bennett University, you have Shiv Nalar University, you have so many universities. Each has a capacity to devise curriculum, rapidly change it to the changing market needs. This is what I see happening now with so many institutions of higher education coming in, which are really autonomous. They understand the market need, they have to go out there, stay with the market, and they can churn out students, they build students at a much faster pace than what we were doing earlier. From the industry perspective, I look at it in a slightly different way. I'm from IT industry, right? In 2000, the entire industry focus was services. And what did we need for services? Ready built manpower. And that's where the skill gap came in, that only 20% of the students who are coming out are not employable. Today we want to be product oriented industry. We develop products in Nucleus, intellect design. And now we realize that we just don't need simple technology, we need a mindset for product development, mindset for design thinking. And therefore we have built curriculum for design thinking, building mindset for design thinking, and have shared it with engineering institutions.
No, very important, I think, mindset, and you said funda. I think that is what needs to be focused on, because frankly, whatever I learnt in my engineering is completely outdated. It got outdated, I did my engineering in 75, it was outdated by 85. Whatever I studied Fortran, I studied COBOL. Does anybody know what Fortran is? Does anybody know what COBOL is? Nobody does. Right? Formula translation. Oh wow, good to have a friend around, You have...
COBOL is common business oriented.
Fantastic, thank you.
A person who has less hair than me. So what I'm trying to say is that whatever we teach today in terms of the skill related things will get outdated in 5 years, 10 years from today. So yes, it is important to actually focus on the understanding, the funda as it were. That is something that becomes very, very important. So let me now, sort of start looking at the future also, and especially in line of the NEP. And I alluded in my opening remarks that the world of education will be very different 15, 20 years from today. There are so many different kind of new technologies that are there, your AI, ML, and your VR, AR, and so on. You know, I mean, I can just keep on rattling a long list of technologies. How do we ensure that the students are ready for that world which is there 15 years from today?
So the world from 15 years from today, I think we should start asking the question even today to say how relevant is education or our educational institutions today. YouTube just launched its courses app on Google for India on Monday, which is now allowing creators to go and create courses on YouTube. You can offer them free or you can offer them paid. So now if structured courses are available on a platform like YouTube, just think 2 years from now, what is that going to look like? I was attending a course in one of the premier management institutes in the country, and the exercise we had when we were talking about disruption was, will management institutes still be relevant 3 years from now, given what is happening in the whole disruption of education? So 15 years from now, I think what education looks like is going to be very different. 15 years, in fact, is so far ahead, given the pace of change of technology. I think even if we look 5 years ahead, it will be something. So learners, I'm sure for those of you who have kids who are in the age group of 21 to 23, the kids are asking, should I really go for a post-graduation? Should I really go study this in a college, because I can get such a great course online, I can see this on YouTube, I can go and do a project with such and such company. Everyone is looking for skills right now, so why do I need the degree? So we'll be questioning what is happening to degrees. Skills are going nowhere. I think it's going to be a very skill-based world. It's how quickly those skills can be picked up and leveraged. And I think the last thing I'd add to this is, with machines doing more and more of what humans do, because that's what automation is all about, humans will have to be more human. So how do we bring more of ourselves into the solutions, how we bring in creativity, how we bring in empathy? Just recently there was a graph that was published on, which are the fastest growing jobs in the future. You'll have things like caregivers, you'll have nurse practitioners, you will have people like that who are not really linked to, so you would have thought it's like IT and all that. No, it's a people-oriented jobs, because the machines are doing a lot of that. So how are we going to teach our students to work better with machines? I think that's going to be the key. Keep up to date with how things are changing, because if we don't enable them to stay up to date, they'll be out of your institution 1, 2, 3 years from now.
Yeah, so the hottest job title in 15 years from today is not a job title today. Okay. Yogesh, how do we ready people for the future?
Now, if we see our kids today and our grandkids today and what we were earlier, they've already started their first steps with YouTube, they've started their first steps with the mobile phones. They don't even need textbooks or notebooks now. Their exercises, their homework is coming on a mobile phone to their parents. They also know it. They use WhatsApp. Now, this change has already happened for us. We have to see that this whole industry that education and within quotes the education is, which has over the last 100 years built a big mass. How will that mass change to adopt to this new world? Students will change automatically. We have no doubt. At the same time, we have huge problems. How are we going to prepare students, teachers, doctors for those problems? I'm working on a project on cataract surgery, and I realize that the postgraduate students who are coming out of the MBBS, medical colleges, through their entire 2 years or 3 years of working in that medical college in eye specialization, they have done very few eye surgeries. And when they come out, they are not ready, they are not confident enough to do a cataract surgery on their own. They require 6 months training. Now, this training today is constrained because, again, the number of teachers, senior professors, senior doctors who are available to train. tomorrow what we foresee is with all the digital technologies, AR, VR, suddenly this training will become very easy. Using a VR, how do you train a surgeon to develop surgical skills? Similarly, for a technician to be able to attend to an aircraft engine fault or a car fault, the AR, VRs, these techniques, these technologies will become very, very important, very key. And we see that a lot of training material will get developed around this. Now, once that gets developed, this will be available in a boundaryless manner. What Coursera is, we foresee that lot more experiential, three-dimensional AR, VR based courses coming in with AI being at the back to sort of structure the experience. Again, of course, somewhere at the back there will be experts also. But these will become available in the next couple of years, maybe a decade, and the institutions need to prepare capacity to be able to incorporate them in their curriculum. I'll stop here.
Okay. So we have 4 minutes left. I see a hand there.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Awesome. My question is, so my name is Rohan. I am founder of a SaaS-based platform that helps companies in managing talent. My question is to ma'am, like we talked about, the learning agility part, and we talked about other traits that are related to the mindset of people, right? So shouldn't we focus more towards, making people flexible and, training them have, probably achieve that mindset with which they can learn and, be more flexible when they join jobs? And the reason why I'm saying this is, so people learn computer science, they go to IT courses.
Got your question.
Yeah.
So that's exactly, I think, what she was saying, that there has to be a flexible approach that needs to be followed. You want to add anything specific?
No, I don't think so. And you're absolutely right. It just it needs to be incorporated. I think the only thing I'd say is that the best way to do it is in the pedagogy. Like, how do you teach? How you teach will determine whether all these things get built. Even you want to learn design thinking, you can read about it, but only when you do something with it do you really incorporate what design thinking is, and that is what can be done. In fact, if you ask me, that's the biggest role of education institutions going forward, to say how do you build these skills through hands-on, through collaboration, through teamwork, through getting your hands dirty.
Okay, so we'll...
Yeah. Can I have the next question?
I'm Anil Varshne. I have one question for Madam Kirti Seth. Our next generation, a lot of children, they are not getting admitted in the best of universities in India despite having the best of marks. They want to go abroad and study. Now, education abroad, as we all know, is extremely expensive, whether in US, Canada, Australia, where the people are going. What are we doing to bridge this gap? Because we cannot avoid migration of students who don't have opportunity in India. So how do we bridge this gap? Are we looking at some solutions? Having accreditations of courses which will give them, opportunity to work directly there instead of going first and learning, training, and then getting on job, which is a gap of 2 to 3 years?
Yeah.
So, I can talk for the technology sector, and I think increasingly with every sector becoming, technology oriented, let me put it that way. Pretty much everything that's happening in India today is very linked to what's happening across the globe. If EVs are becoming, if renewable and EVs is something which is hot in other countries, it's hot in India. So the skills are very global and very transferable. The question I'd put back to you to say, what are you doing to teach those global skills in India? Because they're all available. There is absolutely no reason why they cannot be taught. About people going abroad and staying here, I think it's a matter of choice, and B, it's also, well, if you didn't make it here but you can pay the money and go abroad, that will happen even here. Kids who don't get into government colleges will go to private colleges, and they'll pay that extra money to go to the private college. If they don't get into the private college, they'll pay the money and they'll probably go abroad to a third-rate college. So that's a function of supply and demand. I don't think anybody can do anything about that other than, hey, improve the quality of institutions here so nobody really wants to go But that's a long haul, and we're doing it. I think in India we're doing a grand job. I'm very optimistic. I mean, if my talk is making it feel that, you know, higher education is not pulling up its socks, I don't believe that. I believe that the transformation that we have seen over the last 3-4 years in our discussion, and this is even in the virtual world when COVID was there, what's going on in institutions, there's a huge desire to change, huge proactiveness to try and say, hey, we need to jumpstart this.
No, madam, just one second for interruption. Just one second.
Please, sir.
Sir, please, I request you not to point.
Sir, please.
You say, 5 lakh students every year they are going to USA for higher study. And who are those students? They are sons and daughters of bureaucrats, then politicians, industrialists, not an average person. And why they are sending their sons and daughters abroad and spending a huge dollar? They don't trust our university, they don't trust our college. कि ये पास कर लेगा, इसको जॉब मिलेगी नहीं, वहाँ से डिग्री भी लेके आएगा, अच्छा शादी भी हो जाएगी और फिर जॉब भी मिल जाएगा. How this concept has to be changed? ये सवाल है यहाँ पर.
बहुत अच्छा सवाल आपने उठाया है, बहुत ही अच्छा सवाल उठाया. इसको मैं क्विकली रिस्पॉन्ड करना चाहूँगा कि एक समय मतलब इन सब चीज़ों को एक हिस्टोरिकल पर्सपेक्टिव में देखने की आवश्यकता है. कैसे किस तरह से हमारे शिक्षा हमारी संस्थाएं बढ़ी हैं. देखिए, एक समय था दिल्ली यूनिवर्सिटी में, जब मैं पास आउट हुआ स्कूल से, प्रदीप पास आउट हुआ, हम दिल्ली यूनिवर्सिटी में जाके अपनी मेरिट के बेसिस पे एडमिशन ले सकते थे. आज की तारीख में दिल्ली की यूनिवर्सिटी में मेरे लेवल का बच्चा स्टूडेंट एडमिशन नहीं ले सकता, राइट. तो मेरे लिए क्या ऑप्शन है? आज की तारीख में बहुत सारी यूनिवर्सिटीज़ मेरे आसपास और खुल गई हैं, जहाँ पर वेर आई फाइंड that these universities started by entrepreneurs, started by people who have passion for education, a purpose for education, who understand the current technology, who understand the global scenario. They are going to tune their universities very fast, and you will see in next 5 years many of the Indian universities will come up to a level where they can compete with the foreign universities. I can name Ashoka University, Palaksha University, so many other, the Manipals. They have all started doing what is being done globally, and this change you will experience and see in the next 5 to 10 years.
So with that, I know we can go on for another 1 hour, all right, having this discussion, and perhaps what we will do is we'll carry out this discussion in the during the tea break, which will soon be there. But with that, I would like to thank my panelists because my time is up, and so no closing remarks, and I will not sum up the entire discussion, but it's been an absolutely wonderful discussion. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you to the panelists, and thank you so much, PG.